everyone, this is Darla with Inspirational Moment. Thank you for tuning in to receive an inspirational message from God. I will be your host today. Thank you for listening in and receive your inspirational message. Check us out on Spreaker Radio, Google Radio, and iHeartRadio, and our own YouTube channel, Dr. John Williams Elite Hour. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you are having an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in to Inspirational Moment with Darla. And I pray today that my message will encourage you. Have you ever thought if you have a servant's heart? When you look at your heart, does it reflect a servant's heart? That's what my message is today, about how we know if we have a servant's heart. We must become servants if we want to experience true fulfillment. We need to become lowly, meek, and humble. As God's servants, we should have no other agenda than to accept and do His will. When we become faithful to do His will, then He will fulfill the aspirations He desires for us in our lives, and even those things we desire in our life. Today I'm thinking about how we can look at our hearts and see if we're a faithful servant. Do we go out and help others without an ulterior motive? Do we want notoriety for what we do? We need to really look deep down today and see what our heart says. As God's faithful servant, we should share His success. We should have direct access to His power and wealth. And when we are able to walk in His authority. Today, let's get our hearts in a servant's mode and watch how God brings all things we need and want. What are some ways you can share your servant's heart? Well, here's one: hospitality. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. And this is found in Romans 12:13. Have you ever had somebody, come and stay with you for a week or so, and you're just making sure everything's just right, everything's clean, everything they need while they're there visiting you? This is showing your hospitality. You are serving them with hospitality. It's a need, and it's sharing something you have. So say you like to cook a certain thing. You cook that special item that your guest wants while they're there. That's serving them. That's hospitality. Or hospitality is maybe just listening to a friend that needs to share something with you. You're listening. You're being hospitable to them. How can we develop a servant's heart? What can we learn about having a servant's heart? Well, what I find, until we align our hearts with Jesus, we can never fail as a servant. It's the love we have for Jesus that motivates us to serve. One time I was out doing something and someone asked me, why doesn't Jesus do something about all the suffering in the world? And, it's hard to understand. His ways are not our ways, but He knows the best. And He knows how to serve the world and serve us. He has made us to follow his footsteps. Wherever he went, he would serve others, whether it would be the poor, the needy, the ones just needing help and love. That's what Jesus did. We can be Jesus' hands and feet. We can serve others wherever we go, whether it's in our community, in our home, in our church, in our family. We can serve because that's what Jesus wants us to do. It's difficult at times when we are falling into our daily sin and our motivation is not rooted in the right way. It's rooted in a selfish way. And Satan will just throw things at you to keep you busy from serving what God has asked you to do. Serving doesn't always come easy, and it's not always exciting. It's really hard when you go out and you serve someone and they don't have no gratitude. That's really hard. And, we can't look at it like that. We have to first pray and pray that what we did will touch that person, that they will see that we had compassion for them. And we didn't do it out of selfishness. We did it out of love. And, when we don't get a heart of gratitude from someone we have done something for, we need to pray for them. We need to understand maybe, they're going through something. Maybe something happened to them and they don't know how to show gratitude. We need to sense their need and we need to pray for them. The heart is the very seat of our soul, our emotions and our passions. It is the very essence of being and what drives out our thoughts and motives. What we talked about in a few podcasts about guarding your hearts. We always need to guard our hearts. Even that time you gave something to somebody and they didn't thank you, there was no gratitude. Don't let anger and resentment fill your heart. We need to guard our hearts. A heart of a leader is a foundation of that person's life. It's what drives the passion. We need to have passion when we're a leader. We need to have passion for the Lord. For doing service in the kingdom of God. Sometimes you may feel like, am I doing enough? Does God see me? Yes, he does. He sees way down in the depths of your heart. And you know what, like I was talking earlier, so many times, and this has happened to me. I've went and I've spent my day helping someone out, helping them clean or help them move. And after, I left, they didn't even say thank you. But, God says it's okay. You showed your love. You showed your servant's heart. And you just need to pray for them. Sometimes we feel like, oh man, it just unnerved me that they did not say thank you. And we spent all day with them, helping them clean, helping them load up. We didn't feel appreciated. But God says, pray for their heart. Pray that they will see the heart of your love, that you took time. At that moment, they may not have said thank you, but maybe they don't know how. So we just need to pray. Sometimes it's so hard to go out and serve people. God says, go take this to the homeless. And you may be having a bad day and you're like, I just don't feel like it. But we need to stop and look at what's in our heart and know that God wants us to go take those socks to the homeless. I am a pageant director and a fashion director with ComeOnIn.org, and that is the whole heart of the organization, helping and serving others. John, my director, and I, we went out to the homeless shelter and we took socks to them, and they were so filled with gratitude. This one man just looked at John and just said, thank you. That meant more to them than $100 million. We took time out to go serve the needy, the ones that needed socks to keep their feet warm. We were not only giving them socks, but we were warming their hearts. And we weren't doing it for no ulterior motive to get praise or anything. We were doing it from our hearts. We wanted to help these people that were on the street, that were homeless, and we took them socks to warm their feet. We can help others. It just hit me. As you're helping others, you are also helping yourself. And you're probably wondering why I'm saying that. Well, it gives you such a warmth in your heart when you've helped others. We just need to keep in mind that we always are servants first and leaders second. And you're wondering why I'm saying that. Because what comes from our heart first should always be serving others. We need to model ourselves like Christ, a servanthood in every situation. Sure, God has chosen us to lead. He's chosen me to do this podcast, to give you a message. He's chosen me to be the director and of Come On In, Fashion, Elite, and Pageants. But first, he wants me to have a servant's heart. He wants me to serve others and then be a leader for him. Not only must we be strong when we lead and we do our work in his kingdom, we must be strong in our wholehearted devotion to him. We're not just working for ourselves. We're not looking for that notoriety or the attaboy. We are working for the kingdom of God because God is in control of every situation. Whatever you do, work it with all your heart as you were working for the Lord, not for man. Because when you work for man, like I said before, you may not get the gratitude or the honor or what you feel like you need to have. You need to work like you're working for the Lord, and you will receive inheritance from the Lord as a reward. I love this verse, Colossians 3:23 through 24. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. It's Christ that we're serving with our servant's heart. It's not us. It's not about us. It's about helping others To me, the greatest joy you can have in your heart is serving others. The greatest gift you can give is serving others. You know, there's many ways you can serve. And, Jesus was and is all we need to have a servant's heart. The heart of a servant. You serve with your hands. I know when I broke my wrist, I felt like I wasn't doing nothing, like I wasn't helping. Anybody that knows me, I'm like an energizing bunny. I'm always out collecting socks, collecting bears, feeding the homeless, just so many things. And I'm always out doing stuff. And it was so hard for me when I broke my wrist. And I'm like, God, how can I serve you? I can't even use my hands. But through that time, when my wrists were unable for me to use, God showed me that it's what's in your heart. It requires an attitude of the heart. And I needed to change my attitude. Even though I could not serve with my hands, I could serve in other ways. And He had me serving others with inspirational messages that He would give me. And I would share them. And every day He gave me a message that now I am sharing with a radio audience. I mean, wow, I'm just blown away. But I had to put my attitude in my heart right. It wasn't just about going out and giving socks, running here, doing this, doing that. It was another way He wanted me to serve others by my ministry of His message. Serving requires an attitude of the heart. Whatever needs to be done, am I willing? How do we teach that? Do you have a willing heart today to serve others? Maybe there's somebody, in your neighborhood that needs help with something. Go out and do that. Do it with a willing heart. Second, you must help people develop a humble spirit. In a self-focused culture, humility is hardly an original equipment. Why and how are humility essential to those for us to have a servant's heart? Think about that. Because we are being humble. Like I said, we are not doing it for an ulterior motive. We are doing it from a servant's heart. We must connect the dots between serving and loving Jesus. It's our love for Christ that ought to fuel our efforts of serving. The idea that we love what we do for Christ isn't always true. But the love we do it for sometimes is for the wrong reason. Sometimes we think helping people is a primary way that we're going to get notification or an attaboy, but that's wrong. There is so many times that we need to put our attitude into serving others from the heart, not from what we will get, but from the heart. Serving is a primary way we just demonstrate the love as God has for us. The truth is, there will be many days when your efforts to serve aren't fun. I remember one time I was supposed to go up to Denver and I was going to work with the JDRF, which is type 1 diabetes, and they were counting on me. And that day, I just wasn't feeling like it. I just didn't want to drive up there. I was like, oh man, I gotta go drive up there. And I needed to check my heart. I needed to check why I was feeling that way. There will be many days when your efforts to serve aren't fun or exciting or personal or fulfilling. But when I got up there and I helped them with sending out letters for the JDRF ball and sending things and making packages, it became so fulfilling. The heart of my attitude changed. I was seeing this is what I needed to do to help them. It wasn't about me not feeling like it, but I needed to do this. Servants don't always serve because it's fun, just like I said. We need to serve because there's a commitment to Jesus. We need to serve because He's asked us to. Being a servant of God will not always be easy. Sometimes God is calling us to appear to be in the most difficult thing in our life at the moment. Just like I said, when I broke my wrists, and it was a very difficult time. And He was asking me to call somebody up and encourage them and give them a message that He had gave me that day. And I remember I was like, you want me to do this when I don't feel like it? My wrists are hurting. I can't sleep at night. And, I was just making all kinds of excuses. But He said, no, this person needs that message. And I needed to serve that person that day. I needed to be compassionate and sacrifice the way I was feeling. God is calling us to serve others. And like I said, sometimes God will call you in the most difficult time in your life to serve. But when our kindness and our compassion and sacrifice, we will bloom. We will bloom like a flower when we do this. When we act in love, we act in the name of God. We should always strive to live as His servants, to always give completely of ourselves. You ask me, what does it mean to have a servant's heart? A servant is a person who meets the needs of others. A servant is an individual who puts themselves above others. A servant is different from a slave in that a servant's loyalty is to one master, Jesus. We are called first to submit to God and then to one another. We need to serve unselfishly and humbly and not expect anything in return. When God gave me this message, I said, what can I tell my audience? Can you give me some tips that I can leave them with? And these are the 5 tips of having a servant's heart. Use Jesus as your model. Jesus was the greatest servant of all. Jesus came to earth as a servant to commit and serve. He always put others' needs first. If he had come instead to be served, our salvation and sanctification could not and never be taken place. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to be served, and to serve his life for a ransom for many, in Mark 10:45. Who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used by his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. By becoming a servant, Jesus provided living, breathing example for us to follow, how we are to treat others, and how we are to approach our relationships. Just like when he washed the feet and he took his garments. Do you know what I've done for you? Jesus said. I washed your feet so you can go out and wash each other's feet. This is my example of serving you. Jesus is our role model. He served others by washing their feet. When we watch the example that Jesus was for his disciples, we are giving two choices. We can either choose to serve ourselves or choose to serve others. If we choose to serve ourselves, then we cannot be his disciples, because he taught his disciples that they were going to follow him, and they had to put themselves last. If we choose to serve others, then we show others his love. God's kingdom operates differently from the earth. Greatness in God's kingdom does not come from occupying positions of power or being praised for them. God is more interested in a servant's heart and an attitude towards others. Matthew 20:26. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become among you must be your servant. We must choose to serve others. And let it be the least in this order. And you're saying, why are you saying let it be the least in this order? Because we need to choose God first. We need to show our love for God by loving others, by serving others. This is my commandment in John 15:12-13. Love each other in the same way as I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for me, not for man, but for me. Because you know you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. Don't be concerned to do your own good, but for the good of others. When we obey God's commandments, we exhibit a servant's heart. Today, consider others before yourself. In our society today, there has become such a tendency focus on self-fulfillment rather than making it a priority to serve God and others. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or empty pride, but do it in humility. Consider others more important than yourself. each of you should look not only to your own interests, but in the interest of others. Society has made an industry out of self-fulfillment and self-help. We need to focus on serving others and not thinking about ourselves. God has gave us each gifts. And everyone doesn't have the same gifts. He may have you serve others in a different aspect. Use your gifts in order to serve. God gave each of us certain gifts and talents, and He wants us to use them to serve others. Serving others may be what God uses to touch their hearts. I remember one time I was working with, we were making blankets for premature babies. And we took them to these mothers. And I remember when I handed this blanket to this mom, she just got tears in her eyes. And she says, "You taking time to do this just meant the world to me." She said, "It just warmed my heart." And it touched her. Serving others, God uses to touch their hearts and draw near to Him. And we could share the love of God by using our gifts to serve others, by having a servant's heart. What are ways you can serve others? Think about it today. You can donate. You can donate your time. You can donate financially. You can donate a product. Or you can work for them. You can do whatever they need help with. Remember, the Lord gave you an inheritance as a reward. Look for opportunities today. Look for opportunities where you can serve, because they're always out there, and you need to be open to them. Don't be closed up and focus on yourself. Serve with an open heart. Schedule time for serving. I know we all have busy schedules and we go here and there. We get caught up with everything and we get our priorities messed up. Take time. Put your priorities in line and make serving a priority. Sometimes our priorities get out of whack. And like I said, you need to be going to this person to help them or bring them food or bring them socks to the shelter or bring them a bear to the nursing home. And you've got to do it with a servant's heart. Don't do it to get praise. Developing a servant's heart is so important to recognize our relationship with God. Recognizing who you are with Jesus and who He is exposes any pride that you may have. The more you recognize who you are in a relationship with Him, the more you will embrace humility. Embracing humility is a daily practice. By doing so, you keep your heart in alignment with the Holy Spirit. It is important to note that serving others, like I said before, is not a hope for recognition. The Father sees what you're doing, and He takes notice. When you view a servanthood as a way of living and an expression of worship to God, and you do it willingly with joy, because it's a reflection of your relationship with God. When you serve others, recognizing your act of service as an expression of worship, it's like giving God a big hug. The goal is not to serve into something else. If you are serving your way up to the ladder, you are misunderstanding the whole concept of servanthood. The goal of servant is to serve. One who serves an expression of worship to the Lord, he serves to express the love of God in a practical way. Servanthood is not self-centered whatsoever. You know, we need to determine our behavior when we serve. The more time we invest in searching for opportunities to serve others, the more natural serving others will become. It will just become our second nature because our behaviors will follow our thinking. You know, the little things we do will make a difference. Even if it's a small little thing, it will make a difference in someone's day. You know, we can walk into a convenience store and open the door for someone. It puts a smile on their face, and they will say thank you for opening the door. Or we can help offer carrying somebody's groceries to the car, or giving them an umbrella when it's raining outside, or park farther away from the building so others can park their cars closer. Clean up after others when even it's not our job. These are expressions of God's love. If these people don't notice what you're doing, the point isn't to serve them. The point is to show God that you are serving others. Remember, you are serving God, and He takes notice. You know, ComeOnIn.org is all about serving others. That is the whole heart of the organization. And they are getting ready, my director is getting ready to drive down 10,000 pounds of food to Arkansas to help the homeless, to help the needy. You know, if you can today, after you're done listening to me, go on to ComeOnIn.org and see how you can help, how you can donate. You know, it takes time, it takes money, but we are doing it from a servant's heart, not to get attaboys and thank yous, but we want to do it to serve others. So please go on ComeOnIn.org and see how you can serve. Let's all be Jesus' hands and feet and serve others wherever we go. Today, do you have a servant's heart? Look at your heart. See if it reflects a servant's heart. Thank you today for listening to Darla's inspirational message, and I pray that you look at your heart. Have a wonderful day.